Doctor watches girl talking to patient, but the stone in her hand shocks him completely. Dr. Michael Johnson observed for the 10th time that month the same scene that deeply puzzled him. A black girl with curly hair, who didn't look older than 11, was whispering to the patient in room 307, holding something shiny in her small hands. What troubled him most wasn't just the child's unexplained presence in the hospital. It was the smooth golden stone she carried, which seemed to capture and reflect all the light in the room as she approached the bed of William Thompson, the 75-year-old man who had been hospitalized for 3 months with severe heart complications. "Doctor, you need to see this," whispered Nurse Sarah, touching Michael's arm as they both watched from the slightly open door. Michael adjusted his glasses and paid closer attention. The girl spoke in a sweet, measured tone, as if telling a very important story. Her words were inaudible, but the effect on William was visible. The man, who had remained practically motionless for weeks, slightly moved his lips, and his eyes seemed to follow every word the child said. "How long has this been happening?" asked Michael. "Since Mr. Thompson arrived here. The girl shows up every day, always at the same time, around 3 in the afternoon. She stays exactly 1 hour and then leaves." Michael took a few steps closer. The girl wore a simple beige cotton dress, slightly too big for her, and her feet were in worn-out sandals. But what really stood out was how she held that stone, with delicacy and reverence, as if it were the most precious object in the world. The moment Michael stepped into the room, the girl instantly stopped speaking. She lifted her big, expressive eyes toward him, quickly hid the stone in her dress pocket, and stood up from the chair. "Hi, Dr. Uncle," she said in a melodic voice, though there was caution in her tone. "Hello, little one. What's your name?" "Lily." "Lily, are you related to Mr. Thompson?" The girl hesitated for a few seconds, glancing quickly at the man in the bed before answering. I come to talk to him because he gets very lonely." Michael noticed she hadn't directly answered the question. He also saw that William, who had kept his eyes closed during the conversation, now had them open and fixed on the girl. "And that stone you have there?" Michael asked, trying to sound casual. Lily instinctively touched the pocket where she had stored the object. "It's just a pretty stone my mum gave me." "Can I see it?" "No, you can't. It only shines for special people." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing, Michael raised his eyebrows. That answer was strange, but there was something in the sincerity of the girl's eyes that made him drop the subject for now. "Lily, how do you get into the hospital? Who brings you here?" "I know how to get in by myself. I know all the ways." Nurse Sarah stepped closer and whispered in Michael's ear. "Doctor, no one at reception knows how she gets in. Security has never seen her pass through the gates. It's like she just appears inside." A chill ran down Michael's spine. There was no way an 11-year-old could slip past all the security of a public hospital in New York City without being noticed. "Lily, where are your parents? Why do you come here alone?" The girl's face visibly saddened. "My mom isn't here anymore. My dad. I never knew my dad." "And who takes care of you?" "I take care of myself. I'm smart." Michael exchanged a worried glance with Sarah. A homeless orphan girl in New York City would explain how she managed to enter the hospital unseen. He probably knew all the blind spots in the security. "Lily, do you have somewhere to sleep? Do you have food to eat?" "Yes, Dr. Uncle. The lady at the cafeteria sometimes gives me food, and I sleep in a safe place." "Where exactly?" The girl didn't answer. Instead, she moved closer to William again and gently placed her hand on his. "Mr. Thompson, I need to go now, but I'll come back tomorrow to continue the story of the golden butterfly, okay?" To Michael's surprise, William lightly squeezed the girl's fingers. It was the first physical response the patient had given since being admitted. Lily headed for the door, but Michael gently stopped her. "Wait, Lily. What's this story about the golden butterfly?" "It's a story my mum told me, about a butterfly that searched for her family for a long time until she found the place where she belonged." "And does Mr. Thompson like this story?" "He likes it a lot. especially the part where the butterfly discovers she was never alone, even when she thought she was. Michael sensed there were layers of meaning in those words he didn't yet understand. He decided to let the girl go, but not without trying to learn more. "Lily, can I talk to you tomorrow when you come back?" "Sure, Dr. Uncle, but promise you won't stop me from talking to Mr. Thompson." "I promise." The girl smiled for the first time since Michael had entered the room and walked away with light steps down the hallway. Michael stayed behind watching William, who had closed his eyes again, but this time with a calmer expression. "Sarah, bring me Mr. Thompson's complete medical records. I want to review everything from the day he arrived." "Yes, doctor." While he waited, Michael approached the bed and studied the patient more closely. William Thompson, 75 years old, originally from Pennsylvania, retired, no known family. He had been brought to the hospital after suffering a heart attack while walking alone through downtown New York. He carried no documents besides his ID, and there was no one to contact in case of an emergency. Sarah returned with a thick folder of papers. "Here you go, doctor. I've reviewed the records several times, but there's no mention of family or close contacts." Michael flipped through the documents carefully. Blood tests, electrocardiograms, X-rays, nursing reports. Everything was very detailed, but nothing explained the connection between William and the girl. "Sarah, you said Lily showed up the same day Mr. Thompson was brought in." "Yes, doctor. It was really strange. I remember we were all rushing to stabilize him in the emergency room, and when we brought him to this room a few hours later, the girl was already here. We thought she was family, but when we asked, she said she was just a friend." "And you let an unknown child stay with a patient?" "Doctor, you know how things are at this hospital. We're always full, short-staffed, and the girl was so quiet, so polite. Besides, her presence seemed to help the patient." Michael understood. New York General Hospital took in hundreds of patients daily, many without family or in vulnerable situations. A well-behaved child talking to a lonely patient wasn't exactly a priority for the overworked staff, but there was more to it. Deep down, Michael felt this story held important details that hadn't yet come to light. "Sarah, tell me about Mr. Thompson's improvements. Was there any pattern?" The nurse checked her notes. "It's interesting you ask that, doctor. His vitals always stabilize after the girl visits. His blood pressure drops, his heart rate normalizes, and he rests better." "Always?" "Always. At first we thought it was a coincidence, but it's been 3 months now. Every day the same thing." Michael reflected on this. From a medical standpoint, there was no scientific explanation for a consistent improvement in a cardiac patient's vital signs based solely on the presence of a child. But medicine also acknowledged the impact of emotional well-being on physical recovery. "And when she doesn't come, has there ever been a day she missed?" "Only 2 days. Once when it was raining very hard and another time last week. On those days, Mr. William became more agitated, didn't sleep well." Michael made a decision. "Sarah, tomorrow I want you to let me know as soon as Lily arrives. And I want someone from security to try to find out how she gets into the hospital without scaring her, just so we understand the situation." "Of course, doctor." That night, Michael couldn't get the story out of his head. There was something familiar about it all, like a piece of a puzzle he could almost put together, but a crucial part was missing. At home, sitting on the balcony of his apartment in the Upper West Side, he thought about the expression on Lily's face when she mentioned the stone. There was protectiveness there, but also knowledge, as if she knew exactly the value and meaning of that object, and the story of the golden butterfly. Why would an 11-year-old girl tell that specific story to an elderly man she claimed not to even know? Michael decided that the next day he would dig deeper into William Thompson's history. Something was missing from the official records, and he was sure the answer was connected to the girl and the mysterious stone she carried. The next morning, Michael arrived at the hospital early. Before starting his regular appointments, he went straight to the Central Archives to look for more information about William. The archivist, Mrs. Margaret, a grey-haired woman who had worked at the hospital for over 30 years, greeted him with a smile. "Good morning, Dr. Michael. What do you need today?" "Good morning, Mrs. Margaret. I'm researching information about a patient, William Thompson." I wanted to know if there's anything in the old records, maybe transfers from other hospitals, previous medical documents. William Thompson. Let me see. Mrs. Margaret typed the name into the old computer and then went to the physical files. I found something interesting, Doctor. There's a record from 1998 when Mr. William was admitted here for severe depression. At the time, he was hospitalized for 2 weeks in the psychiatry ward. 1998? That was over 20 years ago. What caused the depression? According to the records here, it was related to the loss of a loved one, but there are no specific details. Michael took the yellowed papers and read carefully. The discharge report mentioned that William had partially recovered from the depressive episode, but recommended ongoing psychological follow-up. There were no records of him following the recommendations. Mrs. Margaret, is this address from the 1998 record still the same? No, Doctor. The current address is different. From what I see here, he moved residences several times over the years. Michael wrote down all the addresses and decided that, if possible, he would visit the locations to try to understand William's life better. At 2:30 in the afternoon, Michael positioned himself strategically in the hallway, near room 307, waiting for Lily's arrival. Sarah had instructed security to discreetly observe the hospital entrances. Right at 3 o'clock, Michael saw the girl walking down the hallway toward William's room. She wore the same dress as the day before, but had braided her hair and carried a small, worn-out backpack on her shoulders. "Good afternoon, Lily," Michael greeted, walking beside her. "Good afternoon, Dr. Uncle. Can I ask you a few questions before you talk to your William?" Lily stopped and looked at him seriously. "You can, but I won't stop talking to him. He gets sad when I don't come." "How do you know he gets sad?" "I can feel it. The same way I know when someone is happy or scared." Michael crouched down to her level. "Lily, you're very observant for your age. Where did you learn to notice these things?" "My mom taught me. She said people speak more with their hearts than their mouths, and if you listen carefully, you can hear what they're really saying." "Your mom sounded like a very wise person." "She was. She taught me so many things before she left." Michael noticed Lily avoided direct words about losing her mother. It was common in children who had gone through recent trauma. "And the stone you carry? Did your mum teach you about it too?" Lily took the object from her pocket and held it tightly in her palm. "She said this stone belonged to my grandma, who I never met, and that one day I'd find someone who would recognize it." "Recognize the stone?" "Yes. Someone who would know where it came from and why it's important." Michael felt a chill. There was something in those words that sounded like a prophecy coming true. "And do you think your William is that person?" "I don't think so, I know." "How do you know?" "Because when I showed him the stone on the first day, he cried, and ever since, he always squeezes my hand when I put the stone near him." Michael processed this. If William had recognized the stone, it meant there was some connection between him and Lily's family. "Lily, how did your mom know about your William? Had she ever mentioned him to you before?" The girl hesitated again, as if deciding how much to reveal. "My mom told me lots of stories. Some were just stories, others were memories." "Memories of what?" "Of people she knew but couldn't find in life." Michael was starting to understand there was a much deeper story behind these daily visits, and he was sure the key lay in the stone and the memories Lily's mother had shared with her. "Do you want to go in and talk to him now?" "I do. But you can stay too if you want. Today I'm going to tell him about the butterfly that found her family." Michael followed Lily into the room. William was awake, and as soon as he saw the girl, his eyes lit up in a way Michael had never seen before. "Good afternoon, Mr. William," Lily said, approaching the bed. "I brought Grandma's stone for you to see again." Michael watched closely as Lily opened her hand and revealed the stone. It was a rose quartz, perfectly smooth and polished, reflecting the light almost hypnotically. But the patient's reaction was even more striking. William reached out a trembling hand toward the stone, and when his fingers touched it, he clearly spoke the first word Michael had heard from him since his hospitalization: hope. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. Michael froze. William's voice was hoarse and weak, but unmistakably clear. "Mr. William, do you remember the stone?" Lily asked gently. "Hope. That was her name," William murmured, his eyes fixed on the stone. Michael stepped closer to the bed. "Mr. Thompson, can you tell us about this stone?" The man looked at Michael as if seeing him for the first time, then turned his gaze back to Lily. This stone belonged to my wife." Lily smiled tenderly. "I know, Mr. William. My mom told me. Grandma Hope was his wife." Michael felt as if the ground had moved beneath his feet. Hope wasn't just what William had said when touching the stone. It was the name of his late wife. "Mr. William," Lily continued, "my mom was named Rebecca. She was Grandma Hope's daughter." William's eyes filled with tears. "Rebecca. My Rebecca," he whispered. Michael realized he was witnessing a reunion that went far beyond his initial understanding. Lily wasn't just a lost child who had randomly stumbled upon a lonely patient. She was William's granddaughter. "Mr. William, is Lily your granddaughter?" Michael asked. William tried to sit up in bed, but he was too weak. Lily helped him, placing pillows behind his back. I searched for her. For Rebecca. For years," William said with difficulty. "When Hope passed away, I couldn't raise our daughter alone." "Did you give my mum up for adoption?" Lily asked, no judgment in her voice. "I was too young. I had no money. I didn't know how to raise a child alone. I thought it would be better for her." Michael was beginning to understand the source of the depression that had brought William to the hospital in 1998. The guilt of abandoning his daughter after his wife's death had consumed him for decades. "But did you try to find her later?" Michael asked. "I tried. For years I tried. But the family who adopted her moved away. I couldn't track them down." Lily gently held William's hand. "My mum always told me she knew she had a real father out there somewhere. She kept Grandma's stone, hoping one day she could find you." How did she manage to find me?" "She worked as a volunteer here at the hospital, Mr. William. When she saw your name on the patient list, she knew it was you." Michael remembered the hospital's volunteer records. He could check if there really was a Rebecca registered. "And where is Rebecca now?" William asked, though by the tone of his voice and the look on Lily's face, Michael suspected he already knew the answer. "She got very sick, Mr. William, but before she passed, she taught me all about you and Grandma Hope, and she gave me the stone so I could find you." William began to cry silently. "I lost her. I lost my daughter. And now you have me," Lily said simply. "And I have you. Mum always said family finds a way back to each other." Michael was deeply moved by the scene, but his medical mind was also working through the practical implications. Lily was an orphaned minor, seemingly living alone, and William was a fragile patient in no condition to care for a child. "Lily," Michael said gently, "you mentioned your mom worked here as a volunteer. Do you have any documents to prove that? Anything to confirm your relation to Mr. William?" "I do." Lily opened her backpack and pulled out a yellowed envelope. "My mom kept everything." She handed the envelope to Michael, who carefully opened it. Inside were certificates, old photos, and a letter. The first photo showed a young William beside a sweetly smiling woman holding the same rose quartz stone. On the back was written, "William and Hope, 1972. The second photo was of a small child, clearly Rebecca, playing on Hope's lap. The third was more recent, an adult Rebecca holding baby Lily. Michael examined Rebecca's birth certificate. The father's name was blank, but there was a handwritten note, "Biological father, William Thompson." "Mr. William," Michael said, "are these your photos?" William looked at the images with tear-filled eyes. "Yes, that's Hope. It's our Rebecca when she was little." Michael took the letter and read it aloud. "Dad, if you're reading this letter, it means Lily managed to find you. I always knew you didn't abandon me out of lack of love, but out of lack of options. I hold no grudges. I want you to know I had a good life with adoptive parents who loved me very much, but I always felt like a piece was missing in my life, and that piece was you. Now that I'm sick and know I don't have much time left, my biggest concern is for Lily. She's a special girl, smart and strong, but she needs family, she needs you. Mum's stone always symbolized hope and true love. Now it's hers, but through it, it's yours too. Take care of our girl, Dad. With love, Rebecca. The silence in the room was broken only by William's muffled sobs. Lily remained calm, holding her grandpa's hand and stroking the stone with her other hand. Lily, Michael said, do you understand that Mr. William is your real grandfather? I always knew Dr. Uncle from the first day I saw him here. And you've been living alone since your mum passed? Not exactly alone. Aunt Dorothy, who lived in the same building as us, said I could stay with her if I needed. But I prefer to sleep here at the hospital, in the chapel. It's a quiet place and no one bothers me. Michael exchanged a worried glance with Sarah, who had entered the room during the conversation. Lily, this can't go on. A child can't live in a hospital. But I don't want to be far from Grandpa William. He needs me. William, who had remained silent while processing all the revelations, spoke with a firmer voice. Michael, Dr. Michael, I want to take care of my granddaughter. Mr. William, you're hospitalized with serious heart problems. You're not physically or legally in a position to take custody of a child right now. Then what's going to happen to her? Michael knew that, following protocol, he should contact Child Protective Services so Lily could be placed with a temporary family or in a shelter. But he also knew separating the girl from her grandfather at that moment could be devastating for both of them. I'll talk to the hospital's social worker, Michael said. Maybe we can find a temporary solution while you recover. Doctor, Lily said, can I keep coming here every day? Yes, you can. In fact, I think your visits are part of your grandpa's treatment. William smiled for the first time since Michael had known him. Lily, can you finish the golden butterfly story today? Of course, Grandpa. She settled into the chair beside the bed, still holding the stone. The golden butterfly flew to many places searching for her family. Sometimes she thought she'd found them, but she always realized that wasn't quite where she belonged. Until one day, she found a very special flower, glowing with the same golden light as her. And the flower said to the butterfly, I've been waiting for you to arrive. Your mum planted me here and asked me to take care of you when you found me. The butterfly then understood she had never been lost. She was just making the necessary journey to get to where she was always meant to be. William gently squeezed Lily's hand. And where did the butterfly stay after that? She stayed to care for the special flower, and the flower cared for her. And they lived happily, knowing true love always finds a way back home. Michael left the room deeply moved by the story he had witnessed, but his practical mind was also working on how to resolve Lily's legal and social situation. First, he needed to check volunteer records to confirm Rebecca had indeed worked at the hospital. Second, he had to officially document the family connection between William and Lily. Third, and most importantly, finding a way to keep the girl safe while her grandpa recovered. In the administrative office, Michael found the records he was looking for. Rebecca Johnson had been a volunteer at the hospital for 3 years, mainly working with elderly patients who had no family. Her last record was from just 2 months ago. Dr. Michael, called the hospital's social worker, Dr. Jennifer Williams. Nurse Sarah told me about the situation with the girl Lily. I need to speak with her. Of course, Dr. Jennifer, but it's a very delicate situation. The child just reunited with her grandpa. I understand, but we have protocols to follow. A minor without parents can't live without proper supervision. Michael accompanied Dr. Jennifer back to room 307. Lily was still whispering to William, who seemed much more alert and present than in previous months. Good afternoon, Lily. My name is Jennifer. I'm a social worker here at the hospital. Lily looked at the woman cautiously. Hi. Lily, Dr. Michael told me about your situation. Have you been living alone since your mom passed away? I'm not alone. I have Grandpa William. Yes, but your grandpa is hospitalized and needs medical care. You need a safe place to stay and someone who can properly look after you. Lily stood up from the chair and clutched the stone tightly. I'm not leaving. I won't leave my grandpa alone. No one is going to separate you from your grandpa, Lily, Michael intervened. We're just trying to find the best way to take care of both of you. William, who had been listening with growing agitation, tried to sit up in bed. Jennifer, I want to take responsibility for my granddaughter. Mr. William, you have serious heart problems. You can't be discharged from the hospital right now. Then run the tests, the treatments. Do whatever's necessary, but don't take her away from me. I just found my family. The emotion in William's voice made his heart monitors start beeping, indicating changes in his vitals. Grandpa, stay calm, said Lily, placing her hand on his chest. Everything will be okay. Miraculously, William's vitals stabilized as soon as Lily touched him. Michael watched the scene with both medical and personal interest. There was no doubt that Lily's presence had a real therapeutic effect on William. Dr. Jennifer, Michael said, can I speak with you privately? They stepped out of the room, leaving Lily and William together. Michael, you know I can't leave a child homeless. If we don't find a solution in the next 24 hours, I'll have to contact Child Protective Services. I understand. But you saw the effect the girl has on the patient. Separating them now could harm his recovery. So what's your suggestion? Michael took a deep breath. What he was about to propose could complicate his life significantly, but he felt it was the right thing to do. What if I took temporary custody of Lily until William recovers enough to care for her? Dr. Jennifer looked at him in surprise. Michael, are you sure about this? Taking responsibility for a child is a very serious commitment. I'm sure. I'm a doctor. I have the financial means and a suitable home. And most importantly, I understand Lily's need to stay close to her grandpa during this time. It would be a temporary solution until we resolve the situation permanently. Exactly. Dr. Jennifer thought for a moment. I'll need some documents and to conduct a social evaluation of your residence, but in principle it seems like a viable solution. Michael felt immense relief. They returned to the room, where Lily was quietly telling William another story. Lily, Michael said, how would you feel about staying at my place for a while? It would be temporary, until your grandpa recovered. You could keep coming here every day. Lily looked at William, who nodded encouragingly. You're a good person, Dr. Uncle. I accept. But on one condition, said William. I want Lily to sleep here at the hospital tonight. I want to spend more time with her before she goes to your house. Michael looked at Dr. Jennifer, who nodded in agreement. All right. Lily can stay here tonight. I'll arrange an extra bed. Thank you, Dr. Uncle, said Lily. You're helping our family stay together. That night, Michael stayed at the hospital late, watching the interaction between Lily and William. The girl had brought more items from her backpack, a small photo album, some letters, and a notebook. Grandpa, Mom wrote letters to you all these years, even though she knew she couldn't send them. William flipped through the notebook with tears in his eyes. Page after page, a daughter shared her life with a father she hoped to find one day. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. She wrote about you too, Lily, said William. Here it is. Dad, today Lily said her first word. It was light. I think she inherited your sensitivity from Grandma Hope. Michael realized he was witnessing a healing process that went far beyond conventional medicine. It was the healing of a family that had been torn apart by circumstances, but found the strength to reunite through love and persistence. The next morning, Michael arrived early at the hospital to check on William and Lily. He found them chatting animatedly, with William noticeably more alert and present. Good morning, Michael greeted. Good morning, Dr. Uncle, Lily replied. Grandpa's telling me about the town where he was born. I was born in a small town near Philadelphia, said William. My parents had a little bakery. Hope worked at the local school as a teacher. And how did you meet? She bought bread every day at my parents' bakery. For months, I'd wait just to catch a glimpse of her. Lily smiled. Mum always said I got my shyness from Grandpa. Michael noticed the dynamic between them had completely changed since the day before. There was no more hesitation or caution. It was clearly a family bond. "Mr. Thompson, how are you feeling today?" "Better than I have in years, Doctor. Having my granddaughter here, it's like a part of me that was lost has come home." Michael checked William's vitals and was genuinely surprised. His blood pressure was stable, his heart rate normal, and his oxygen levels had improved significantly. "Your tests look much better, Mr. Thompson." "It's Lily's presence. She brought hope back into my life." When he mentioned the word hope, William looked at the stone Lily was holding. "Lily, can I see Grandma's stone one more time?" Lily placed the stone in William's palm. He gazed at it tenderly. "This stone has a very special story," he said. "Hope found it when we were young by a river near our town. She said it looked like it had been polished by time and love, and that one day it would be a symbol of connection for all generations of our family." "Mom told me that story," said Lily. "She said Grandma told her that even when the family was apart, whoever held the stone would never truly be alone." Michael was deeply moved by the symbolic depth of that simple object. "And you always knew you should bring it here?" "It wasn't exactly that I found out, Dr. Uncle. It was more like she guided me. After Mom passed away, I came here every day as a volunteer, helping Aunt Dorothy, who works in cleaning. And one day, I saw Grandpa's name on the patient list." "Dorothy?" asked Michael. "The cleaning lady who works the afternoon shift?" "Yes. She's a close friend of our family. She knew my mother since she was little." Michael made a mental note to talk to Dorothy. She probably had additional information about the family's history. "Mr. William, do you have any living relatives besides Lily?" "Not that I know of. My parents passed away many years ago, and I didn't have any siblings. Hope was an only child too." "So Lily is your only family?" "Yes, and she's all I need." Later that day, Michael found Dorothy during her shift. "Dorothy, may I speak with you?" "Of course, Dr. Michael. It's about Lily, isn't it?" "Yes. She said you've known the family for a long time." "I've known Rebecca since she was a teenager. A good girl, studious. When she found out she was pregnant with Lily, she was very scared, but she decided to raise her daughter alone." "And Lily's father?" "He was a young man who disappeared when he found out about the pregnancy. Rebecca never spoke badly of him, but I knew she struggled raising Lily without a father figure." "Did you know about William?" "Rebecca told me a few years ago. She always knew she had a biological father, but she only found out his name when she turned 18 and got access to the adoption records." "And why didn't she ever look for him before?" "She did, Doctor. But William moved around a lot, lived as if he was running from something. Rebecca thought he didn't want to be found." Michael was beginning to understand the emotional complexity William had carried for decades. The guilt of abandoning his daughter had made him isolated and emotionally unstable. And when Rebecca found out he was hospitalized here, she was very emotional. She came here as a volunteer, but she was really watching him from afar, trying to decide if she should approach him. But she never did. She ran out of time, Doctor. By the time she worked up the courage, she was already very sick, so she prepared Lily to do what she couldn't. Michael then understood the true extent of Rebecca's sacrifice. She had spent the last months of her life preparing her daughter for a reunion she wouldn't live to see. "Dorothy, has Lily really been sleeping in the chapel?" "Yes. She's a very independent girl, but I think she was afraid to accept help from strangers. Now that she's found her grandpa, I believe she'll be more open to your help." "Do you think she's doing okay emotionally? Losing her mother and having to deal with all this alone?" "Doctor, that girl has a strength that comes from deep within. Rebecca raised her to be strong and brave, but also to be loving and confident. She's fine. She just needed to find where she belonged." That afternoon, Michael watched the interaction between Lily and William again. The girl had brought a simple card game and was teaching her grandpa. "Grandpa, Mum taught me this game. She said she learned it from Grandma Hope." "That's true," William smiled. "Hope loved playing cards. She said games taught us about strategy and patience, and about how sometimes we lose, but we can always try again." Michael noticed how references to her mother and grandmother were always present in their conversations. It was as if Rebecca and Hope were constant presences, connecting the generations through memories and family traditions. "Dr. Michael," William called, "may I ask a favor?" "Of course. I'd really like to visit Hope and Rebecca's graves with Lily. It's been so long since I've been there." "Mr. Thompson, you still can't be discharged from the hospital." "I know, but when it's possible, it'll be very important to me." Lily held her grandpa's hand. "Grandpa, I'll go with you, and we'll take Grandma's stone to her." "That would be perfect, my dear." Michael made a decision. "Mr. Thompson, if your tests keep improving over the next few days, maybe we can arrange a temporary leave from the hospital. An outpatient visit just for a few hours." "Really?" William's eyes lit up. "Really, but only if you strictly follow all medical recommendations." "I promise, Doctor." In the following days, Michael worked intensively on William's recovery plan. The tests showed steady improvement, and the medical team was amazed by how quickly he was recovering. "It's incredible how his granddaughter's presence is speeding up his recovery," Nurse Sarah remarked. "In 30 years on the job, I've never seen anything like it." "The power of emotional connection in physical healing is something medicine is still learning to fully understand," Michael replied. Dr. Jennifer had also finalized the paperwork for Lily's temporary guardianship. Michael had passed all the necessary evaluations, and his home had been approved for the girl. "Lily," Michael said, "tonight you'll come to my house. Tomorrow morning I can bring you back to visit your grandpa." "Okay, Dr. Uncle, but can I take the stone with me?" "Of course you can." That evening, when Michael took Lily to his apartment, she was amazed by the view from the balcony. "Wow, Dr. Uncle, from here you can see almost the whole city." "Yes, and tomorrow morning, if you'd like, I can show you where the hospital is from here." Lily settled into the room Michael had prepared for her. It was simple but cozy, with a comfortable bed and a small desk. "Dr. Uncle, can I ask you something?" "Of course, Lily. Why are you helping us? You didn't even know us." Michael sat on the edge of the bed and thought about the question. "You know, Lily, sometimes we meet people who change our lives without even trying. Meeting you and your grandpa reminded me why I became a doctor, to help people, to care for them when they need it most. Do you have family?" "I have my parents who live in another city and some cousins, but I've never had children." "Did you want to?" Michael smiled. "I never really thought about it. But now, taking care of you, I'm discovering how much I enjoy having a family." Lily held the stone and examined it in the lamplight. "Dr. Uncle, I think Grandma Hope knew that one day we'd all meet. All of us." "Why do you think that?" "Because Mom always said good people find each other when they need each other most. And now I have Grandpa back, and I have you taking care of us." Michael felt a deep emotion hearing those words. In just a few days, his life had gained a purpose and meaning he hadn't realized was missing. The next morning, Michael and Lily arrived early at the hospital. William was waiting eagerly, looking visibly better each day. "How was your first night at Dr. Johnson's place?" William asked. "It was nice, Grandpa. He has a balcony where you can see the stars. Mom always said when we missed her, we could look at the stars and remember she was watching over us." "Your mother was very wise, Lily." Michael checked William's latest test results. They were surprisingly positive. "Mr. Thompson, I have good news. Your tests are so good that I think next week we can make that visit to the cemetery." "Really, Doctor?" "Really. It'll be a short trip with medical supervision, but it's possible." Lily clapped her hands in joy. "Grandpa, we'll finally be able to talk to Grandma and Mom together." William held his granddaughter's hand, moved. "It's going to be the most important day of my life, Lily." During the week that followed, Michael observed remarkable changes in both William and Lily. Grandpa was growing stronger and more spirited each day, and the little girl was adapting well to her new routine of having a stable home while still being able to visit her grandpa daily. "Dr. Michael," Dorothy said, meeting him in the hallway, "I wanted to thank you for what you're doing for Lily and Mr. William." "I should be the one thanking you, Dorothy. They've changed my life." "You know Rebecca would be so happy to see all this, right?" "I'm sure she would." "And, Doctor, may I make a suggestion?" "Of course." When you visit the cemetery, bring white flowers. They were Rebecca's favorite. Michael mentally noted the suggestion. Every detail of Rebecca and Hope's lives seemed important to complete the emotional picture of this family that was rebuilding itself. That Friday, Michael received the final approval for William's discharge. It would happen Saturday morning, with a planned return by early afternoon. "Lily," Michael said, "tomorrow is the big day." "I know, Dr. Uncle, I'm nervous but also really happy." "Nervous why?" "Because I've never seen Grandma Hope's grave, and because it'll be the first time I visit Mom's grave without being alone." Michael understood that this visit would be an emotional milestone for Lily. It was the moment to complete the family circle, even if two of the most important people were present only in memory. On Saturday morning, Michael helped William dress in regular clothes for the first time in months. The man had lost weight during his hospitalization, but his eyes shone with a vitality that hadn't been there when Michael first met him. "Doctor, I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done for us." "Mr. William, I'm the one who should be thanking you. You've given me the chance to be part of something very special." Lily arrived at the hospital carrying a small bouquet of white flowers she and Michael had bought on the way. "Grandpa, are you ready?" "I am, my granddaughter, more ready than I've ever been in my life." The cemetery was on the east side of New York, about 40 minutes from the hospital. During the drive, William watched the city through the window with the eyes of someone seeing everything with new meaning. "How long has it been since you left the hospital?" Michael asked. 3 months. But it feels like 3 years. Lily held the rose quartz stone and whispered to it, as if preparing for a very important meeting. When they arrived at the cemetery, Lily guided William directly to the graves of Hope and Rebecca. It was a simple but well-kept area, with 2 headstones side by side. William stopped in front of Hope's grave and stood silently for several minutes. Tears fell quietly as Lily held his hand. "Hi, Grandma Hope," Lily said softly. "I brought Grandpa William to talk to you, and I brought your stone back." William knelt with difficulty before his wife's headstone. "Hope, my love, forgive me for taking so long to bring our family back together. I found our granddaughter, Lily. She's beautiful and strong just like you." Michael watched the scene with deep emotion, keeping a respectful distance to give them privacy. William then moved to Rebecca's grave. "My daughter, my dear Rebecca, forgive me for not being the father you deserved, but I promise I'll take care of Lily with all the love I couldn't give you." Lily knelt beside her grandpa and placed the white flowers on her mother's grave. "Mom, I found Grandpa, just like you asked, and he's as kind as you always said he was." She took the stone from her pocket and placed it between the 2 graves. "Grandma, here's your stone. Mom took care of her all her life, and I brought her back to you. But now she'll stay here, connecting you, Mom, me, and Grandpa forever." William watched the stone glowing under the morning sunlight. "Hope, our family is together again. Not the way we imagined, but together." They remained silent for a few more minutes, each lost in their own thoughts and memories. When they finally stood to leave, Lily was surprised to see the stone had cracked slightly in the middle. "Grandpa, look at the stone." William examined the small fissure. "Don't be sad, Lily. The stone served its purpose. It brought us together. Now it can rest with Grandma and your mom. But what if we need it again? We have each other now, and we have Dr. Michael. We're a family, and families take care of each other." Lily smiled and agreed, leaving the cracked stone on the graves. On the way back to the hospital, she was visibly calmer and at peace. "Dr. Uncle," she said, "now I feel complete." "Why?" "Because I got to introduce Grandpa to Mom and Grandma. Now they know he's okay, and that I'm okay too." Michael felt he had witnessed something far greater than a simple family reunion. He had seen the healing of emotional wounds that spanned generations. Back at the hospital, William looked visibly tired but emotionally renewed. "Dr. Michael, when can I be discharged for good?" "If everything stays as it is in another week, Mr. William." "And then, what happens to us?" Michael had thought a lot about it over the past few days. "Mr. William, How would you feel about the two of you coming to live with me, at least until you're fully settled?" Lily and William exchanged surprised, joyful glances. "Doctor, are you sure?" "I am. I've realized I really enjoy having a family, and you've given me the chance to have a real one. But don't you think we'll disrupt your life?" "Quite the opposite. You've given my life meaning." Lily ran to hug Michael. "Thank you, Dr. Uncle. Now we'll be a real family." "We already are, Lily. We already are." A week later, William was medically discharged in excellent health. His heart tests were normal, and he had regained much of his physical strength. "Mr. William," Michael said during the final hospital visit, "you're officially healed." "Healed in heart, doctor, and in soul, too." Lily was radiant with the news. "Grandpa, now we can all live together at Uncle Michael's house." Michael had prepared his apartment for the two new residents. He set up a comfortable bed in the office for William and decorated Lily's room with family photos she'd brought. "Dr. Michael," William said, looking around the home, "how can we repay your kindness?" "You already have, Mr. William. You've given me a family." "And we have a complete family again," Lily said. That night, the three had dinner together for the first time as an official family. Lily shared stories her mother had taught her, William reminisced about hope, and Michael talked about his future plans, which now included Lily's education and William's well-being. "Uncle Michael," Lily said before bed, "can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you think Mum and Grandma are happy seeing us like this?" "I'm sure they are, Lily. I think so too. And you know why?" "Why?" "Because today, when I looked at the stars from the balcony, they were shining brighter than ever." Michael smiled and kissed the girl's forehead. "Good night, Lily." "Good night, Dad, Michael." Michael paused at the door. It was the first time Lily had called him Dad, and he felt a deep, indescribable emotion. "Good night, my daughter." 6 months later, Michael had officially begun the adoption process for Lily, with William's full support. The grandfather, now fully recovered, had found work as an accountant at a nearby company and contributed both financially and emotionally to his granddaughter's upbringing. "Dr. Johnson," said the social worker during a follow-up visit, "I've never seen such a positive transformation in a child from a vulnerable situation." "Lily wasn't vulnerable," Michael replied. "She just needed to find where she belonged." "And Mr. Thompson? He's unrecognizable, looks 10 years younger." It was true. William had regained not only his physical health, but also a joy for life he thought he'd lost forever. One afternoon, as Lily did her homework at the kitchen table and William read the newspaper in the living room, Michael reflected on how his life had completely changed in just a few months. "What are you thinking about, Uncle Michael?" asked Lily, noticing his thoughtful expression. "I'm thinking about how sometimes the best things in life come when we least expect them. Like how we found each other. Exactly like how we found each other. Dad, Michael, can I tell you a secret?" "Of course." "From the first day I saw you at the hospital, I knew you'd be part of our family." "How did you know?" "Because you have the same look as Mum. The look of someone who cares because they want to, not because they have to." Michael hugged Lily tenderly. "And you have the same heart as your mother and grandma. A heart that brings people together who didn't even know they needed each other." On the first anniversary of Lily and William's reunion, the three returned to the cemetery to visit Hope and Rebecca. This time, they brought flowers of many colors and a new rose quartz stone Lily had picked out at a natural stone shop. "Grandma Hope, Mom," said Lily, placing the new stone on the graves. "This is our new family stone. As you saw, the old one did its job and can rest with you now. This one will take care of the three of us from here on." William had brought letters he'd written to Hope and Rebecca over the past year, sharing about the new life they'd built together. "Hope, our granddaughter, is growing up strong and smart. She gets excellent grades in school and is learning piano. Rebecca, our Lily, talks about you every day, keeping your memory alive in our hearts." Michael watched the scene with deep gratitude. In 2 years, he'd gained a daughter and a father-in-law, and he'd discovered that family isn't just formed by blood, but by love and care. "Dr. Johnson," William said on the way home, I have an official request. What is it? I want you to officially be my son-in-law. I know I'm not Lily's biological father, but I feel like her grandpa in my heart, and you're like a son to me. Michael was moved. It would be an honor, Mr. Thompson. Then now we're officially a complete family, said Lily, holding both men's hands. That evening, as they prepared dinner together in the kitchen, Michael thought about how a simple medical observation had become the most transformative experience of his life. Dad, Michael, Lily said, do you think we'll always be this happy? I think we'll have good days and hard days like all families, but I think we'll always have each other. And that's what matters, right? That's exactly what matters, Lily. William stepped closer and placed his hands on Michael and Lily's shoulders. You know, all those years I lived alone, I thought I'd lost my chance to have a family. But now I understand that sometimes life gives us second chances in ways we could never imagine. What do you mean, Grandpa? I missed the chance to raise Rebecca, but I got the chance to help raise you, and I lost hope, but I gained a son in Michael. And I, said Michael, thought it was too late to have a family, but I learned it's never too late for the right things to happen. Lily smiled and held the new rose quartz stone. Grandma Hope was right. The stones really do connect families across time. How so? Asked Michael. The first stone brought Grandpa back to our family. This new one will watch over the family we've built together. And many years from now, said William, when you have your own children, you'll pass this stone down to them along with all our stories. And the stories of Grandma Hope and Mom too? Especially theirs, Michael replied, because they're part of who we are. 2 years after Lily's official adoption, Michael received an unexpected call at the hospital. Dr. Johnson, this is Nurse Sarah. There's a patient here asking for you. She says she heard about your story with Mr. Thompson and Lily. What kind of patient? An elderly woman, alone with no family. She said she has a similar story and wanted to talk to you. Michael smiled. Over the years, his family's story had spread through the hospital, and he occasionally got requests for help from other patients in similar situations. Tell her I'll be there in an hour. When Michael arrived at the room, he found a woman around 70 years old, with sad yet hopeful eyes. Doctor, my name is Catherine Johnson. I heard you helped a patient reunite with his family. That's true. How can I help you? I gave my son up for adoption 50 years ago. I never stopped looking for him, but I could never find him. Michael's heart raced. The situation was strikingly similar to what had happened with William. Do you have any clues about where he might be? I have the name of the family who adopted him, and I know he became a doctor. A doctor? Yes, Michael Johnson. Michael froze. It felt as if the world had stopped around him. Mrs. Catherine, what's the full name you're looking for? Michael Johnson Thompson. He was born in March 1978. Michael looked at the patient's wristband. The birth date matched his exactly. Mrs. Catherine, I think I'm your son. End of story. After hearing this incredible story of reunion and family, tell us, what did you think of Lily, William, and Michael's journey? Do you believe true love always finds a way to bring families together? Leave a comment sharing your thoughts and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories like this one.